This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before starting or changing any treatment, supplement, or peptide protocol. Melatonin 1, often called melatonin 1 receptor agonist or melatonin 1 peptide, is part of a fascinating class of compounds that interact with the body's circadian system. When most people hear the word melatonin, they think of the common sleep supplement available at nearly every pharmacy. But melatonin itself is a hormone with multiple receptor subtypes in the body, including MT1 and MT2. Melatonin 1 peptides or analogs are designed to specifically target the MT1 receptor, which plays a central role in regulating circadian rhythm, signaling the body when it's time to wind down, and influencing sleep initiation. To appreciate why melatonin 1 peptides matter, we need to step back and talk about melatonin itself. Melatonin is produced naturally in the pineal gland, a small gland located in the brain. Production of melatonin is influenced heavily by light exposure. As darkness falls, the brain begins producing more melatonin, sending the signal that it's time for sleep. Light, especially blue light from screens, suppresses melatonin production, delaying sleep onset. This is why people often struggle to fall asleep when exposed to their phone or television right before bed. The MT1 receptor specifically helps control the timing of sleep initiation. This means compounds that target MT1, like melatonin 1 peptides, may help synchronize circadian rhythms for people who struggle with sleep onset insomnia. Unlike over-the-counter melatonin, which can sometimes leave users feeling groggy in the morning, receptor-selective compounds are being studied for their potential to promote more natural sleep without the hangover effect. Research into melatonin 1 receptor agonists shows promise in a few areas. First, circadian rhythm disorders, such as delayed sleep phase disorder, where a person cannot fall asleep until extremely late at night. By selectively activating MT1, scientists hope to reset the body's sleep timing and improve sleep quality. Second, shift work disorder, a condition affecting people who must work overnight or irregular schedules. These individuals often experience misaligned sleep cycles, leading to poor rest, fatigue, and health consequences. Targeting MT1 may help re-anchor their internal clock. Third, jet lag, the classic example of circadian disruption. Crossing multiple time zones leaves the body confused about when to sleep and wake. Melatonin 1 peptides might shorten the adjustment period, reducing fatigue and improving alertness. What sets melatonin 1 peptides apart from general melatonin supplementation is their receptor specificity. Melatonin binds both MT1 and MT2 receptors. MT1 is more associated with sleep initiation and circadian rhythm timing, while MT2 may play roles in regulating sleep architecture and other physiological processes. By honing in on MT1, these peptides can potentially offer more targeted therapeutic effects. Animal and early human studies have looked at MT1 agonists for their impact on sleep latency, meaning how long it takes to fall asleep. Results suggest that these compounds can significantly reduce latency, allowing people to drift into sleep more quickly. In addition, there's interest in whether receptor-specific compounds could have fewer side effects compared to broad melatonin use. Some people who take melatonin supplements report vivid dreams, morning grogginess, or disrupted sleep cycles if dosing is too high. Peptides that specifically target MT1 may reduce these unwanted outcomes. The conversation about melatonin-1 peptides also touches on neurological health. Circadian rhythm disruption is linked to conditions such as depression, seasonal affective disorder, and even neurodegenerative diseases. By regulating sleep onset and rhythm, melatonin-1 receptor agonists could one day serve as part of supportive therapy for mood and cognitive health. Another angle of exploration is metabolic health. There's growing recognition that circadian rhythm affects not only sleep but also metabolism, glucose regulation, and energy balance. When sleep cycles are disrupted, it can lead to weight gain, insulin resistance, and hormonal imbalance. By stabilizing circadian timing, melatonin-1 peptides might indirectly support metabolic processes. It's important to note that melatonin-1 peptides are still under study. They're not widely available as supplements in the way over-the-counter melatonin is. Instead, they're primarily researched in laboratory and clinical settings. This means most of the evidence we have today comes from controlled studies rather than long-term widespread use. Another layer of complexity comes from dosing. Unlike standard melatonin, where doses range from 1 mg to 10 mg, melatonin-1 peptides are typically administered in much smaller microgram or sub-milligram ranges. This is because receptor-selective compounds can be more potent. Too much can disrupt rather than improve circadian balance. Researchers are still working to identify the ideal therapeutic window. Pharmaceutical companies have been particularly interested in melatonin receptor agonists. Melatonin, for example, is an FDA-approved drug that selectively binds to MT1 and MT2 receptors. It is prescribed for insomnia characterized by difficulty falling asleep. While not identical to melatonin-1 peptides, it demonstrates the clinical viability of targeting these receptors. Melatonin shows that receptor-specific drugs can be safe, effective, and non-addictive, unlike many traditional sleep medications such as benzodiazepines. In animal research, melatonin-1 receptor agonists have also shown potential neuroprotective effects. For example, by regulating oxidative stress and supporting mitochondrial function, they may play a role in brain health beyond sleep regulation. This opens the door for potential therapeutic use in conditions like Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's, where circadian disruption and oxidative damage are significant contributors. There's also interest in how melatonin-1 peptides interact with other hormones. Cortisol, for instance, has an opposite rhythm to melatonin. When melatonin rises at night, cortisol falls, allowing rest and repair. In the morning, cortisol rises to wake us up and energize us. Disruption in this balance can lead to chronic stress, insomnia, and fatigue. By stabilizing melatonin rhythms through MT1, the cortisol rhythm may also be normalized. Athletes and high-performance individuals sometimes explore circadian-enhancing strategies to improve recovery. Since sleep is critical for muscle repair, growth hormone release, and overall performance, melatonin-1 peptides could theoretically enhance recovery outcomes by improving the quality and timing of rest. While research here is still preliminary, it reflects the broader interest in peptides not just for medical therapy but also for optimization of health and performance. One challenge in developing melatonin-1 peptides is delivery. Oral supplements often undergo first-pass metabolism in the liver, reducing bioavailability. Researchers have looked into sublingual, intranasal, and even injectable forms to enhance absorption. Each route of administration can influence onset time and duration of effect. Sublingual or intranasal forms may provide faster onset, making them useful for acute sleep initiation, while oral or extended-release versions may support long-lasting circadian regulation. Safety is always a concern. Early studies suggest that melatonin 1 receptor agonists are generally safe when used appropriately. They are non-addictive and don't seem to produce dependence like many traditional sleep medications. However, improper dosing or long-term overuse may still cause issues such as altered circadian rhythm or desensitization of receptors. As with any compound that influences hormonal systems, balance and careful monitoring are essential. For the average person curious about melatonin 1 peptides, the most important thing to understand is that this field is still emerging. While regular melatonin supplements are widely available and may offer benefit for occasional jet lag or difficulty falling asleep, receptor-selective peptides are more specialized, often limited to clinical settings or ongoing trials. This means the general public should approach with curiosity but also with caution, waiting for further evidence and regulatory guidance. To summarize the journey so far, melatonin 1 peptides are designed to selectively target the MT1 receptor, which plays a central role in sleep initiation and circadian rhythm regulation. By honing in on this receptor, these compounds may reduce sleep latency, improve circadian alignment, support neurological and metabolic health, and potentially offer advantages over standard melatonin supplementation. However, much remains to be learned, including optimal dosing, long-term effects, and best delivery methods. This is where science stands today. The future may bring more refined melatonin 1 receptor agonists that allow for precise circadian regulation without side effects. Such developments could transform how we approach insomnia, jet lag, shift work, and even broader health challenges connected to circadian rhythm. This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before starting or changing any treatment, supplement, or peptide protocol. Thanks for listening, keep learning, and stay curious.